Hello everyone, welcome to the channel of MeteoMark Weather. It's great to have you here with me today. We're watching Hurricane Oscar that's going to continue to hang up across eastern Cuba and the southeastern Bahamas. We'll see what that storm has in store over the next week, as we could be talking about it for quite some time. We're also going to be watching another tropical wave that has the potential for development through the last part of October here across the Caribbean. We'll be looking at all the tropics as well as your North American weather and beyond. Let's get into it. And looking at our infrared satellite view of Hurricane Oscar, you can see it really has its act together here right around the center. It almost looks like it's trying to form some sort of an eye. Here's the eastern coast of Cuba. Here's the Turks and Caicos over here into the Bahamas. And this thing has been causing some major problems. If we take a look at the three-dimensional satellite view of it, you can see it has got a very good circular pattern going on. This is not going to last, though, but over the next couple days, it is going to impact the eastern part of Cuba and the Bahamas. So starting off here with the European model, and I'll progress towards the GFS here in just a couple minutes. We're going to look at Hurricane Oscar to begin with here, still holding on as a Category 1 hurricane. This will slowly weaken into a tropical storm as we get that dry air from the west, and then eventually Monday and Tuesday, some wind shear will be developing over the system as well, helping to weaken it further. It's not going to move much through Wednesday here. You can see it's going to get hung up across eastern Cuba and the eastern and southeastern Bahamas here, Turks and Caicos area onto the northwest here. And then finally towards the 23rd, 24th, 25th, it heads up towards Bermuda here. So you can see, yeah, this thing's going to start to accelerate into the North Atlantic. Our next attention is going to turn towards these areas. We also have a little area here southwest of Jamaica as we head through the end of the week, but you can see these tropical waves just parade into the Caribbean towards October 25th. We have a few areas of concern out here that we're going to be watching. Amazing that the Cape Verde season, as far to the south as it is, it's still a threat, especially sending these waves into the Caribbean. As you can see towards the 26th, there is our big tropical wave heading towards Central America here. Jamaica providing a lot of heavy rain all the way up to Cancun. So yeah, I know a lot of you have had vacation plans ruined by these storms in Cancun. Look at that. That's going to continue into the 28th, the 29th. And look at this. We have tropical moisture all the way up into Louisiana. This area looks pretty menacing as we head out in time. This is October 29th. You can see things look very active out here. Big tropical waves that we're going to have to continue to watch, especially for the Caribbean here, because it's very hospitable here in the Caribbean for these tropical systems. And this one just wants to hang around the Western Caribbean, even sending some moisture up here into the Eastern Gulf, because we have a blocking high off the U.S. East Coast. That is the return flow, could surge tropical moisture towards the U.S. Gulf Coast. And over to the GFS here, you can see, yeah, Oscar's tightly wound hurricane here, not much more strengthening before it starts to weaken. As we head into Monday here, you can see the dry air and the wind shear really doing its job here. You can see a lot by the 23rd, a lot of these thunderstorms getting sheared off towards the northeast here. So it's going to continue to be a problem here. There's the Turks and Caicos all the way over towards the central Bahamas. Even some showers as far west here as Miami. So this system's going to really put the pedal to the metal here as we head later in the week, the 24th, the 25th. That will likely be heading up towards Newfoundland here, maybe clipping Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia. So watch out for that. Then let's see what the GFS holds for us for these Caribbean tropical waves. So as we head towards the 26th, you can see two areas here. One moving through Barbados down to Trinidad and Tobago, some heavy showers and gusty winds as we head through October 26. And then look at this. This area tries to flare up over towards Belize here and then up towards Cancun. So that's going to be more rainfall here for the Yucatan down to Belize and Honduras. Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, getting some outer feeder bands on the east side of the system. And look at this big wave coming off of the Cape Verde season out here. This is really striking for this time of year. This just goes to show you the hurricane highway does not want to shut down anytime soon. And as we continue to go out here in time, you can see the GFS really starts to develop this system towards the 28th into the northwestern Caribbean. That is why we have to not let our guard down here completely. The good news right now this blocking high, but if this were to retreat towards the northeast, that could allow it to come up into the Gulf. That's something we have to keep a very close eye on. So as we head into the 29th, into the 30th, you can see the GFS wants to pivot this system towards the east. So Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Cuba, Haiti to Dominican Republic, we could be looking at all the way up towards the Bahamas, some continued heavy rain continuing here as we head through the 29th into the 30th. And the GFS is a little weaker on this run with the system, keeping it a very broad-based area of low pressure. Still, we have to watch for some potential development because these systems can flare up really without warning this time of year, especially with these sea surface temperatures in the Caribbean. And as we continue in time, I mean, it's quite possible this could become extra tropical. It is trying to close off some area of low pressure, but the big story is going to be this rain, and then another area of low pressure tries to form near Jamaica here. So this is something we're going to have to keep a very close watch on, and there it is. It just continues to get stuck over the northern and central Caribbean islands here as we head towards the first week of November. So all in all, we're looking at a very active tropical weather period here through the end of October into the beginning of November. And before we continue with more tropical weather coverage as well as your weather, don't forget if you made it this far in the video and you like it, smash that like button, everyone. It really does help. Question or comment down below. I love to read your questions or comments. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe bell notification button so you're alerted with all my future weather video updates. Let's continue. And if we take a look at intensity of Oscar now basically our Category 1 hurricane, it is going to slowly weaken back towards a tropical storm as it encounters dry air and wind shear. So this thing's going to get hung up across eastern Cuba and the eastern Bahamas. And as it does so, as it stalls, it's also going to encounter that higher wind shear level. And looking at our sea surface temperature analysis here, you can see, yeah, this is another concern here from the Caribbean to the western MDR. This is the area. Over the next couple weeks, we're going to watch for continued additional development, especially the Caribbean. And if we take a look at thanks to Tropical Tidbits here for our dry air analysis, Hurricane Oscar is going to encounter that dry air, especially into Monday and Tuesday, which is going to really help weaken the system. You can see all the tropical moisture on the east side of it here, but look at all this dry air denoted by this brownish color. And then we have a few other tropical waves out here in the Atlantic. And as that lifts up to the northeast, it looks like it will target southeast Canada as a much extra tropical storm at that point. So definitely looking like more synoptic towards the end of the week, towards Friday and Saturday. But here it is. There is our next series of tropical waves. That is why I'm really concerned going out from the MDR into the Caribbean in particular over the next week or two. We could be looking at those areas for development here into the western and northwestern Caribbean as we head towards Monday, October 28th. And you can see, look at that area. GFS has been very consistent with trying to develop something around Jamaica towards the end of the month here. So that's something we're going to have to keep a close watch on because it could affect the Caribbean islands, potentially Central America, but now it's looking like the Caribbean islands. And looking at the European run here, you can see the same dry air is going to be affecting our system. There you can see what's left of Nadine will be crossing over into the Pacific, so it may actually develop. But look at the dry air behind this system. So basically, Hurricane Oscar will be controlled by dry air and wind shear developing over the system like it was on the GFS. And as you can see, as we go out here in time, it forms into an extra tropical system. Here's our next series of tropical waves behind it. I think pretty readily this system will continue towards the west-northwest, towards Trinidad and Tobago through the end of the month into the Caribbean. If you take a look at upper-level wind shear, just to the north of Oscar here, look at that massive 45, 50 knot area of vertical wind shear. It does start to get into it by Tuesday here, so wind shear will also be a thing in addition to the dry air. I want to draw your attention to the Caribbean, though. Look at this. There's virtually no wind shear, so any additional tropical waves here over the next week or two that make it into the Caribbean do have a good chance of developing. Rainfall amounts here across the Caribbean, Central America, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands. As we head through this week, it looks mostly dry with the exception for eastern Cuba and the southeastern Bahamas. This is where Oscar's going to pick you up 100 to close to 200 millimeters in some areas, 4 to 8 inch widespread amounts. So watch out. Continued flooding concerns as well. Look at Central America here with what's left of Nadine. Yeah, you're going to be looking at those heavy rainfall totals, 150, 200 millimeters inland across Mexico. But look at this as we head towards the end of the month, 27th, 28th, 29th. There is that next tropical wave that's going to be surging close to 100 to up to 175 millimeters. We're going to get up towards 4 to 7 inches here. Jamaica just on the outside of this, but watch out. This thing may try to backtrack as we head out in time. And heading to the Eastern Caribbean and Bahamas, yeah, for most of the first part of this week, it's dry, but then we have that tropical wave moving through the Lesser Antilles, Trinidad, Tobago area, all the way up towards the central Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico. These areas picking up about 30 to 60 millimeters on average. And then another tropical wave parades behind it comes Sunday, October 27th to 28th. You can see where the tropical waves are propagating right through Trinidad, Tobago down here. Watch out. You could be looking at 70 to as much as 120 millimeters of rainfall. That'll get you up towards 2.5, close to 5.5, 6 inches of rain. Look at the Turks and Caicos here in the southeastern Bahamas. That's where you're going to pick up close to 150 millimeters of rain. You're going to be looking at those rainfall totals of about 4 to as much as 6 inches. And looking at the Western Pacific here, we have a tropical depression out here. If we can get a fix on it, there we go, 22. This is likely to become a tropical storm, potentially a low-end typhoon, but this is what's going to be providing the northern Philippines, Taiwan, eventually Southeast China, and Japan and South Korea with some very heavy rain. So as we head through the 22nd into the 23rd, the big story with this is going to be tremendous flooding rains here into the northern Philippines. You can see the system's going to parallel the coast as we head through the 24th into the 25th, and it's going to really move slow. So by the time it gets up towards Taiwan, it's going to be next weekend already, the 26th, and it's going to look at the tropical moisture it has connected here all the way south here, east of the Philippines. Here's the center moving over towards Taiwan. And look at eastern and southeastern China here. Just socked in with tremendous rainfall all the way up to Shanghai. And that's going to move up towards Seoul, South Korea. You can see as we head towards next Sunday into Monday, 27th into the 28th. Look at the heaviest rain moving right across the Korean peninsula here and then exiting out towards northern Japan. So yeah, we're still dealing with tropical systems out here. And look at this. Even through the end of the month, the Philippines are socked in with tremendous rainfall here. So we're going to continue that pattern, and we still have to watch out because look at this. We got numerous tropical waves out here into the Western Pacific. But one thing to note towards the end of the month, it does start to dry out across Southeast Asia. And wanted to quickly draw your attention to this area off the Mexican coast. What's left of Nadine is likely to cross over into this area, and that's why we have a large area of potential development here as we go out here in time. Look at this. Nadine is likely to redevelop into a tropical storm. Thankfully, it is going to remain a fish storm, but it's likely to become potentially a major hurricane. And rainfall amounts here in the Western Pacific, yeah, Philippines are really going to get hammered again, and then into southeastern part of China, and then up towards Korea as we head towards the last part of October here into Japan. So we could be looking at an increased signal here of tropical moisture. Even northern Philippines here getting hit with upwards of close to 200 millimeters of rain, right around that 6 to 9 inch range. So watch out. There's going to be those systems moving up and lots of heavy rain, spreading that 100 to 150, 200 millimeters, 4 to 8 inch widespread amounts. And Eric Rentschler here from Lebanon County, Pennsylvania, Middle Creek Wildlife Management Area. Look at this. Back on October 15th, sending in some very beautiful fall foliage here. Look at those oranges and yellows there. And some reds as well. Look at that. That is beautiful. It's that time of year again. And he is capturing some very beautiful fall foliage, even this far south into Pennsylvania. So this year is looking a lot better, I've noticed, for fall foliage, and that is going to be no exception. Look at that picturesque landscape. Just beautiful time of it. Get out there and enjoy that fall foliage. Derek Rentschler, Lebanon County, Pennsylvania. Nice captures. And before we continue, I just want to let you know I'm putting the finishing touches on my winter 2024-25 outlook. So watch out for that. I'm hoping to get it out, before the end of the month here so we can alert you to what I think is going to happen this winter. It's not feeling very winter-like here across the east, though. Look at this high pressure just dominating As we head the rest of your Sunday here, we do have a few showers for southern Florida here in the east coast of Florida, but that's about it. That is going to be a fading memory throughout the week. You can see a few showers here with Oscar on the easterly flow, just to the north of the low pressure system. But look at this. With the exception for the plains and a few showers here in Florida and off the Carolina coast, we stay pretty dry here through the next 48 hours. Look at this. Just high pressure, just clear. Most areas, not a cloud in the sky. And picking up where our future radar left off as we continue through Tuesday into Wednesday, there really isn't going to be a lot to talk about this week here as far as synoptic weather is concerned. Look at this dominant high pressure in eastern North America. We're just going to continue to have fair weather, maybe a few showers here in South Florida and eastern Florida with what's left of Oscar, but that's not going to be much of a thing. You do see towards the 23rd here as we head into Wednesday, we do have a cold front. It's going to be a very weak cold front as far as moisture is concerned. It's moving through the eastern Ohio, northwestern Pennsylvania, western New York by this point. This is right around 5 p.m. on Wednesday. That will usher in much cooler air behind it. So you'll go from highs in the 60s and 70s to highs only into the lower 50s. But you can see that's going to combine with what's probably left of Oscar by this point over towards Newfoundland. And look at this. This sets us up for another stretch of very dry, high pressure here into the east as we head into next weekend. Now look at towards the 27th, we do start to see things break down a little bit here into the northeast. We do have a little bit of a system moving through the lakes and the northeast, so it could get a little bit unsettled, but that system remains pretty progressive and moves to the east. One thing we're going to have to keep a close watch on towards the end of the month, 28th through the 30th, return tropical moisture from the Gulf and the Caribbean towards the north central Gulf Coast. And looking at rainfall amounts here on our European model for this week, you can see, there's not too much to talk about here in the east. High pressure is pretty much in control. Maybe around the edges like Florida, a few showers around the coastal Carolinas as well. But if you look most of this here into the Ohio Valley Northeast, this is going to be mostly a dry front that moves in come midweek. So maybe up to 1/10 of an inch, but not looking at much here. The weather this week and looking at our Canadian weather forecast here, you can essentially see it is mostly dry with the exception for western provinces as we head into later Sunday into Monday here. Look at the east. Very dry at this point. That low pressure heads up towards Hudson Bay. And then towards the 23rd, a big cold front is moving through eastern part of Canada, ushering in much colder air behind it. Blustery conditions as this low pressure winds up. It will help to provide a few showers as it moves through, thankfully, because you do definitely need the rain here into the 24th, into the 25th. That combines with what's left of Oscar. And then we set us up for a very quick, fast-moving weather pattern as we head towards the 26th here. This fast-moving low ejecting from Saskatchewan and Manitoba into Ontario. And look at that, dragging another cold front towards the 27th here. And then we're going to watch the west coast of Canada here, British Columbia. A parade of Pacific systems really starts to plow inland here. And that's going to give rise to a low pressure here into the plains with a lot of moisture here onto the northwest side. If we take a look at Canadian precipitation amounts here, you can see mostly through the first part of this week, it's dry in eastern Canada, but look at that. Come the end of the week into the beginning of the last week of October, really a lot of parade of Pacific systems out here. British Columbia, upwards of 100 to 150 millimeters, 3 to 5 inches on average. And look at here, southeast Canada and eastern Canada. Yeah, you'll pick up anywhere from 16 to 30 millimeters on average. Locally higher in northern Ontario and Quebec here. And then watch out because Newfoundland over here may get clipped by what's left of Oscar. And before we continue with more weather, check out these awesome, amazing maps that you won't find anywhere else.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, And you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
If we look at temperatures for the rest of the week, we are looking really nice up here into the Northeast and the Ohio Valley. Mid to upper 70s, maybe a few upper 60s in northern New England. Look at this. Much of the nation is looking into the 70s and the 80s as we head into your Monday into Tuesday, October 22nd. You can see we start to see some cooler air up here, but even that is warm for this time of year. Look at this. Some areas like Pittsburgh may approach 80 degrees into your Wednesday here. If we progress into October 23rd here, look at this. We do start to see that cold front moving through some areas by Cleveland, Buffalo, Erie, over to Detroit may only be into the mid to lower 50s here. And then towards Thursday, October 24th here, you start to see a little bit of a warming trend throughout the Ohio Valley towards 60, but still holding on to some 50s here into northern New England. But you have to admit, even with this little bit of a cooler air shot here, we are running extremely warm. Look at this, down towards Texas, 80s and even some 90s. Extended forecast from our hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton, Susquehanna, River Valley, New York, and Pennsylvania. We are looking at continued sunny conditions the rest of your Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, into Wednesday. It's not until Wednesday night and Thursday we see a chance of showers, that next cold front moving through, and it will feel a lot cooler on Thursday, more seasonable temperatures back into the 50s. As always, thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Also, don't forget to join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also Weather Northeastern, also Twitter at Weather Eastern. Don't forget it's MeteoMark.com, and don't forget, if you want to send me a coffee, there is a link, Super Thanks. You can smash that Super Thanks button or my PayPal link in the description down below. You can buy me a cup of coffee. Thanks, everyone. Share that video. Subscribe if you haven't. Smash that like button.